The Federal Aviation Administration last month explicitly rejected Boeing permission to proceed with a crucial stage in certifying its upcoming enormous wide-body airliner, the 777X, dealing the jet maker even another setback. The FAA told Boeing in a scathing letter dated May 13th that it might have to increase the amount of planned test flights and that certification is now realistically more than 2 years away, most likely in the late 2023. This could delay the jet's introduction to commercial service until the beginning of 2024, 4 years later than anticipated. Why has the Boeing 777X caused multiple problems? If you want to know more about it, then make sure to stay tuned until the end. Hey guys, welcome to another amazing video from Aviation News. Today in this video, we'll be talking about Boeing 777X and why it has multiple problems. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon to make sure you never miss any updates or videos from us. Let's get started. The FAA listed a long list of issues, including a significant flight control incident on December 8, 2020, during a test flight when the plane had an uncommanded pitch event, in which the nose of the aircraft quickly pitched up or down without the pilot's input. Boeing still needs to prove to the FAA that it fully comprehends and fixed the issues that occurred that day. Ian Wan, the manager of the regional FAA office that determines whether Boeing has complied with all legal requirements, signed the letter. Additionally, he informed Boeing that a crucial piece of avionics equipment does not meet specifications for the plane. Also, he raised concerns about suggested upgrades that would involve late software and hardware updates to the electronics of the jet's flight controls. One, the airplane is not ready yet. The aircraft type design does not appear to be mature and cannot be set to meet the applicable standards, states the technical data needed for type certification. The delay in 777X certification is currently the topic of a lot of scrutiny at senior levels, according to an FAA official who wanted to remain unnamed in order to speak freely. When its battery started to burn while the 787 was in the air in 2013, Boeing was forced to land the aircraft. The certification process for the soon-to-be-released 777X is currently problematic. Is the FAA only becoming stricter as a result of all the scrutiny? The FAA source claimed that even in the absence of the MAX crashes, the 777X's long list of significant problems would have required strict regulatory oversight. The FAA has a broad perception that Boeing has kind of lost its stride, the person claimed, alluding to Boeing's decline from a long-standing reputation for engineering excellence. The person continued, "The times of Boeing being able to just say to the FAA, 'Just believe us,' are long gone due to all the mistakes." Boeing stated that safety remains completely focused on as our highest priority during 777X development in a statement on Friday. Additionally, the 777X was introduced by Boeing at the Dubai Air Show in the fall of 2013 and was intended to begin service in 2020. The Boeing 777X is a stretched variant of the popular 777 passenger airliners with the largest jet engines ever built and is intended to replace the Boeing 747 Jumbo and Airbus A380 Super Jumbo passenger planes, which are no longer produced as the larger airliner in production. To construct the wings, Boeing committed more than $1 billion to a new composite fabrication facility in Everett. Boeing completely altered how the 777 fuselage and wings arrived together in order to make assembly more flexible and effective. The state-of-the-art automated stations were created by Mukilteo, Washington-based engineering firm Electro Impact, and were installed inside the main Everett assembly building. The largest and first of the two 777X versions, the 777-9X, which can accommodate 496 passengers in two classes, completed its maiden flight in January 2020, beginning the test flight program. Until certification permits their delivery, Boeing must put those production aircraft, as well as any additional ones built from now through at least late 2023, on hold. The leader of Boeing's internal division responsible for evaluating and confirming that the new aircraft design complies with safety regulations, Tom Galantoix, is the recipient of the FAA's letter regarding the 777X certification status. The letter refuses Boeing's request for a special authorization known as Type Inspection Authorization for the 777-9X. Without it, Boeing cannot send FAA representatives on flight testing and start gathering certification information. The language conveys some irritation with Boeing for pressing for TIA when the FAA believes it's not yet ready. The letter states that the FAA and Boeing have already been discussing the TIA readiness of the Boeing Model 7779 in multiple meetings over the past 9 months, adding that the FAA considers that the aircraft is not yet ready, in contrast to Boeing's claim that moving forward with TIA warrants consideration. The letter continues by listing a number of preparedness gaps at Boeing. Moreover, when questioned about the test flight that had the uncommanded pitch event in December, Boeing claimed that the jet had safely landed and that engineers had looked into the cause and created a significant software upgrade to address the issue. In the interim, Boeing has provided the test pilots with advice on how to prevent the incident from occurring again so that the test flights can proceed until that is authorized. The FAA, however, is obviously not happy with Boeing's assurance of a software repair. The FAA has not yet observed how Boeing has fully implemented all the corrective actions specified by the main cause investigation following the uncommanded pitch event, according to the letter. The FAA requires improved visibility into the reasons behind the delays because software load dates are continually shifting, according to the statement. The FAA requires thorough and documented evaluations of the adjustments made as a result of the event investigation to guarantee that a similar issue will not reoccur in the future. And that is not a systemic issue. This is done to establish the maturity and security of the aircraft. The Common Core System, a collection of shared computing resources essential to the operation of numerous aviation systems, is one of the new avionics on the jet that the FAA separately raises concerns about. In that letter, Galantovics acknowledged that the CCS has inadequate software and doesn't adhere to the TIA regulations in a letter to the FAA earlier in May, according to Wan. The FAA claims in its letter that Boeing hasn't even adhered to the rules set forth in its own procedure, citing a paucity of data and the lack of preliminary safety assessment for the agency to assess. The FAA highlighted a finding that the avionics supplier delivered inadequate peer review in a safety investigation which resulted in discrepancies and erroneous reuse of 787 data in rejecting the 777X for TIA readiness. The CCS is produced by GE Aviation's Grand Rapids, Michigan facility and expands upon the comparable Common Core avionics systems it created for the 787. The central nervous system and brain of the airplane, according to GE, is the CCS. GE referred questions to Boeing. Boeing's intention to make last-minute alterations to the 777X flight control system is another issue for the FAA. The flight control system actuator controls electronics will undergo hardware and firmware changes as a result of Boeing's proposed upgrades, according to the FAA. Boeing must make sure the changes don't accidentally introduce new failure modes. Other upcoming changes to the layout of the systems surrounding the jet's horizontal tail or stabilizer that regulates the plane's pitch will alter the crew warnings that signal specific system problems. The letter claims that design maturity is at issue, as redesigns are ongoing and potentially significant. EASA spokesman Janet Northcote responded via email on Friday, stating that the organization is cooperating closely with the FAA on the certification of the 777X. She stated, "We're closely examining the technical files with Boeing and the FAA, and this effort is currently ongoing." In its letter, the FAA informed Boeing that it expected a considerable increase in the amount of testing and analysis needed, as well as the ability to increase the number of certifying flight tests that would need to take place due to the gaps in the 777X technical data. Finally, the letter states that based on the information from Boeing, 777X certification is genuinely more than 2 years away, in mid to late 2023, and asks Galantovics section to address these gaps before submitting any future requests for TIA approval. Ironically, Boeing's one advantage in this circumstance is that no airline in the world is currently interested in purchasing a 777X because the pandemic has destroyed demand for international air travel. However, despite all the problems, Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun reiterated his commitment to the 777X at a Bernstein Research Industry Conference this month. He stated, "I think it'll be one of the greatest runs in history." He stated it'll have a 40 or 50-year run after it's verified. Calhoun affirmed, "I have a lot of faith in it. We adore it. Although there are 320 orders for the 777X listed on the Boeing website, airline clients may choose to cancel some of those contracts and move to smaller Boeing aircraft as a result of the delays." The largest 777X customer, Emirates of Dubai, lowered its initial order from 150 aircraft to 115, exchanging 35 of the 777Xs for 30 significantly less expensive 787s. From the first flight through certification, the initial 777 flight test programs in the middle of the 1990s took 10 months. That time frame for the 737 MAX was slightly over 13 months. The time from the first flight to certification during the troubled and significantly delayed construction of the 787 was a little over 20 months. It'll be approximately 4 years after the first flight before the 77X is certified. Emirates Airline President Tim Clark has stated that he doesn't anticipate any 777X deliveries until 2024, citing the delays in getting the aircraft certified. In all likelihood, it is the earliest a major airline would wish to receive delivery of an aircraft of that size. That's when the 777X might actually be ready after 4 years of delay. Let us know your thoughts on Boeing 777X in the comments section. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Aviation News, for more such exciting aviation content. See you in the next video.